Movie tie-in games, a category of video games that has been notoriously bad since it started. Bad licensed games have more often than not been rushed into stores and on the shelves to make sure that they get ready in time for the release of the movie that they're related to. Soulless cash grabs that span every conceivable genre of gaming have been plaguing the industry since basically its inception. But every so often, we get a game that changes that. Every now and then, a team of game developers don't take the easy road to make a quick buck. Sometimes they pour their heart and soul into a game and they come out with something truly enjoyable. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And that's what I want to talk about today. I've been making videos focused on the worst parts of gaming recently, but for this one, I wanted to celebrate what I think is perhaps the most underrated and underappreciated form of a video game, the good movie tie-in. That's why, for the last little while, I've been looking at tier list videos, Reddit posts, critical reviews, a bunch of other stuff. Just trying to find out what games people think are the best movie tie-ins. After scouring the internet, I had a group of games together, right around 80, and along with my own personal choices, I sat down and I played every single one so that I can make my own rankings for these. Unlike my other videos, this list is not based on any Metacritic ratings or overall public response to these games. These are the games that I simply enjoyed the most and that I think are the best. It took me a bit longer to rank them than I thought it would, and I had to go back to certain games multiple times to figure out where I wanted to put them, but at the end of it all, this is a list that I not only stand by, but one I'm also extremely proud of. If you disagree with anything that I say on this list, that's totally okay. You have the right to be wrong just like everybody else. But before I get into this list, there is one parameter that I had to set for myself. The rule is this. To be eligible for this list, the game had to come out within 1 year of the movie that it was tied to. I made this rule so I wouldn't have to sift through about 5,000 different Star Wars, Marvel, Lego, Nickelodeon, and Disney games, and so this video wouldn't take like 2 years to make. Sadly though, with that rule, there will be several pretty notable games that are left off of this list. If one of these is your favorite, sorry, but rules is rules. I'm also not going to list every console that each game came out on because of the differences between things like home console versions and handheld versions of a game, so the platforms that I list are the ones that the specific version of the game that I'm talking about can be found on. I just feel like that's the most efficient way to do this. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get into the list. These are the 25 best movie tie-in video games. Let's talk about it. What would one of my videos be without, oh, you guessed it, a bonus entry? This entry simply goes out to all the games that would have made the list had they qualified for it. Games like The Godfather and Scarface were both very enjoyable GTA clones. The Warriors is one of the best beat-em-ups of the 6th-gen consoles and one of my favorite PS2 games in general. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is easily the best Lego Star Wars game and also just one of the best Lego games in general. Alien Isolation is amazing. And GoldenEye broke ground for first-person shooters, but it also came out 2 years after the movie dropped. The biggest exclusion for me personally is The Thing. It's one of my favorite movies and also one of my absolute favorite games. If I could have put it on this list, I would have, and in all honesty, it probably would have been number one, but rules are rules. Especially when I'm the one that made them. So sadly, these awesome games do not have a home on this list, but they all do get the honor of being part of a running bit that I'm probably never going to get rid of. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's get to the actual countdown. Starting with number 25, Into the Matrix, GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC. I wasn't initially sure if this game would make the cut, but in the end I felt like I needed to have it here for a number of reasons. Is it the best looking game? No, not even close. Are the controls a little bit clunky at times? Yeah. Is it still enjoyable? Absolutely. Around the specific time when this game came out, most movie-based games were just unashamedly dog shit. Not only were they not fun, but they were clearly just cash grabs trying to squeeze some money out of the fans of whatever IP they just decided to make a game for. This game is the exact opposite of that. This game is a love letter to the Matrix franchise. Not only does it bridge the gap between the first two films with its story, it also introduced new characters and over an hour of footage that they shot specifically just for this game. Like the Animatrix movie did, Enter the Matrix went above and beyond to expand the lore of the series, and it did so very well. It was a massive undertaking for the development team and for the people working on the movies at the same time, and in my opinion, it paid off. As a fan of the Matrix series, this game is everything that I want. Slow motion shootouts, rooftop chases, hand-to-hand flashy combat sections, it's all here, and it all performs well. And it might be fairly ugly, and it might play a little bit stiffer than you want it to at times, but this game is still fun. And in a sea of unparalleled garbage, this was basically a lighthouse. It was a beacon of hope that maybe movie tie-in games weren't just a lost cause. It's not perfect by any means, but I wouldn't feel right without putting Into the Matrix on this list. For maybe no other reason than it just set a standard of quality that more and more developers started eventually trying to aim for with their own movie tie-in games. It's also just a fun little romp through the Matrix universe, which is something that we surprisingly, for some reason, don't get that often. You would think that the Matrix would be like the easiest video game franchise ever, right? But, I mean, they've been dark since the Matrix Online went down. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see if anybody ever revives this series. Number 24. Batman Begins. GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. When Christopher Nolan took over the Batman series, I wasn't so sure that that was the best idea. I mean, come on. The guy who made Memento? What are they going to do? Tell the Batman story backwards? End it with his parents getting shot? Oh, and Christian Bale? Yeah, Patrick Bateman. Yeah, the guy from Reign of Fire. Seems great. Well, hindsight is 20/20, and I was like 15 and a fucking idiot, so, shows how much I really knew. Time has now shown us that putting Nolan at the helm and Christian Bale behind the cowl were both great ideas. They brought a grittier, more realistic version of Batman to the screen, which was sorely needed after George Clooney and those fucking Batnips. In conjunction with the release of the first movie, Batman Begins, obviously we got a tie-in game for all the home consoles at the time. I mean, there was also a Game Boy Advance version of this game, but please believe me when I say that game sucks ass, and that is not the game that we are talking about right now. This version is a third-person stealth/beat-em-up game that works way better than it really has any right to. It looks good, it plays well, and it does a good job adapting the storyline from the movie into video game form. The combat is pretty well done. I mean, it's no Arkham combat system, but it still does its job well enough. The real highlight of this game, though, is the stealth sections. It has a very Splinter Cell Chaos Theory feel to me, which is a automatic win in my eyes because I love the old school Splinter Cell games, and anything that even closely resembles those is something that I can't get behind. There are also certain things in this game that clearly inspired some of the mechanics that the Arkham games would use later down the line. And if nothing else, this game deserves some flowers for walking so that the Arkham trilogy can run. Or at least they could run until 2015 and then just leave us high and fucking dry. Got time to make mobile games, VR games, can't just make another mainline title. Come on. While you play through, the entire cast, with the exception of Gary Oldman, voice their characters, which is nice. The graphics might look a little bit dated now, but at the time these were basically top-of-the-line visuals, and at the end of the day, it still looks alright. This game is still enjoyable. Now, it isn't a life-changing experience or anything, and if you go into this expecting something that's going to be up to snuff with the Arkham games, you're in for a disappointment. But while this might not be the best Batman game, it's far from the worst. To be honest, outside of the Lego version, this is objectively the best Batman game released on the 6th-gen consoles. And I will not hear, nor will I entertain anybody trying to defend Vengeance or Dark Tomorrow or Rise of Sensu. No, don't even try it. Those games are hot garbage. This game is not. It is a very good time. And while critical reception for this one was pretty mixed, I think it's good enough to earn a spot here. Number 23, Tron Evolution, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. I'm a massive fan of Tron Legacy, the movie that this game was released next to. This game is not up to snuff with its movie counterpart, in my opinion, but it still is a pretty rewarding experience for anyone who's a fan of the Tron series. It's an action beat-em-up with RPG, platforming, and racing aspects all mixed in to help change up the pace a little bit. Because right when you start getting bored of the combat, which I promise you will, this game will throw you into a platforming section that's all focused on the parkour style of movement that's a major part of the gameplay itself. Once you get used to it, the movement and the combat are smooth and pretty fun. You have a lot of moves and combos you can use or unlock, plenty of gadgets and power-ups to master, and a ton of leveling to do, so if you want to be the baddest man on the grid, you gotta put in some work. The plotline itself serves as a prequel to Legacy, showing how the world that Kevin Flynn created became the way it was in the movie. It does a great job of making you feel like you're a part of the grid, and the atmosphere of Tron is just here in spades. The game also looks great. The character models and environments don't vary drastically throughout the game, but that's actually kind of on brand, so it makes sense in this case. There are some fairly negative aspects to this one though. The combat doesn't get stale super fast, but with the amount of enemies who just keep spawning at you while you're battling it out in a certain area, it can get pretty annoying. You'll start to get bored and find yourself ready to move on to the next area, only to figure out that you're only about halfway done with the fight that you're in. The other main negative that I had about this game is that it has a frustratingly long tutorial. I was over an hour into the game and they were still introducing basic gameplay mechanics. Like, that's something that will piss me off to no end. I understand it can be frustrating when you get thrown into a game and have no idea what you're doing, okay? But if your tutorial is longer than like 15, 20 minutes, then you're insulting me and insulting the intelligence of your user base. Listen, I don't need an hour and a half of unskippable dialogue and cutscenes to show me that I need to hit the X button to jump. Okay? If I've been fighting a bunch of guys and then you show a cutscene of a slightly bigger dude carrying a shield, I'm very well aware that I'm probably gonna have to hit Y or triangle to do a heavy attack so I can get them to drop their guard. You know why I know that? Because it's like that in every single fucking game ever. I don't need a 30, 45 second cutscene. Just flash it on the screen. Hey, here's how you do a heavy attack. That's all I need. But the amount of hand holding in the beginning of this game it's real annoying. But once you're past that and you're actually out exploring the world on your own without the game interrupting you every 2 seconds, it actually starts to shine. If it wasn't for the annoyingly long fight lengths at times and the game just holding your hand for way too long, this would probably be higher on the list because the combat itself and the movement is pretty fun to play around with. But as it is, this is as far as Tron Evolution can go. Overall, it is a fun game, and if you like the Tron movies, I highly recommend you give it a playthrough. But just do be aware, there will be some things that frustrate you a little bit. Number 22, Addams Family Values, Super Nintendo and Mega Drive. During the making of this video, I think that I've played about 20 to 30 different Super Nintendo, Genesis, and Mega Drive games, and very, very few of them even approached being very enjoyable to me. Addams Family Values caught me way off guard. I literally played this directly after I played the first Addams Family game, and so I just expected that I would be getting the same type of game, a side-scrolling kind of Metroidvania-style platformer starring Gomez. Well, that isn't what I got at all with this game. What I got with this was something way better. Addams Family Values sees you playing as Fester, and it's an adventure game with some RPG elements closer to, I guess, a Zelda game than anything else. You're on a mission to find Pubert, the newest member of the family, and throughout the game you're exploring dungeons, you're fighting bosses, taking on some side quests, and just exploring the Addams Family property in search of your new nephew. It's easy enough to figure out what all the controls do, but there's also pretty much no hints at what you're supposed to do, even at the very beginning of the game. It's up to you to go explore and find hidden areas and new dungeons to play through on this adventure that you're going on. Some parts are pretty difficult and frustrating, but with the inclusion of a decent checkpoint system, dying isn't the end of the world or the end of your playthrough. So it's not that devastating if you mess up and die in one of the dungeons. Here's the thing, you will get lost, and you will get frustrated, and you will die a lot, and you'll probably wander around aimlessly for a little bit, but it's an incredibly rewarding and fleshed out, very complete game from start to finish. I had no expectations for this one, and I was honestly taken aback by how much that I enjoyed it. This is a game anyone can have fun with, not just fans of the Addams Family. I highly recommend this one to anybody who likes old school adventure RPGs. This is very, very, very well made. Number 21, Muppet Treasure Island, PC. This game is 100% a nostalgia pick. This is on the list completely out of my own bias, but it's my video and I'm allowed to do that. Suck one, nerd. Muppet Treasure Island was one of my favorite movies as a kid, and when I got this game, I played through it so many times that I lost count. It's a very toned down point-and-click adventure with some mini games designed for kids, and it does its job. It's pretty easy to play through in just a couple hours, but the overall experience was and still is something that I very much enjoyed. The graphics look great. It's a mix of pre-rendered backgrounds and live-action videos of the Muppets mixed in, and it's seamless. It looks awesome. The minigames you play are fairly pedestrian, and there's no point of this game where you're gonna get stuck or lost, but it's still really fun to play through. When I was capturing footage for this video, I sat there and I played through the entire game, and I loved every second of it. This might not be something for everyone, especially anyone who hasn't seen or didn't like the Muppet Treasure Island movie, but anyone who played this game when they were younger owes it to themselves to go back and play through it again, because the memories will come back and they will slap you in the face like a comically large shovel. I love this game, I always have, I always will, and nothing will ever change my mind about it. Number 20. Van Helsing, PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Van Helsing is a cheesy, CGI-riddled fantasy/action horror movie from 2004. And while it's a fun movie, it's not exactly what anyone would call great. The Van Helsing game that released alongside the movie was received much the same way with a lot of critics. They thought it was decent, it wasn't really anything special. I kind of think otherwise. This game is more than anything just a Devil May Cry clone, but it's a pretty damn good one. The graphics look good, the voice acting from the members of the original cast is well done, and the meat of this game is its combat, which Van Helsing does very well. You only start off with one weapon and some melee attacks, but within the first 30 minutes you have all your weapons collected, you have skills you're learning, you have points you're earning that you can use to bolster your stats and buy new upgrades. Each of the weapons plays differently, and specific enemies demand you use specific weapons against them, so being able to switch on the fly during the combat becomes almost second nature within the first act of the game. And after that, the combat just flows incredibly smooth. The enemy types are varied well, and the combat never really starts to feel like a chore. See, unlike the Tron game, you're not being forced to sit in one area just battling dozens of enemies that keep spawning before you get to move on. Which is crazy because that's something that games, even to this day, still haven't seemed to figure out. I think the bad taste people had for the Van Helsing movie influenced their opinion of this game, which is a shame because this game is very fun. If for no other reason, this game earns a spot just for having a bonus for finishing the level with your hat still on. For whatever reason, that's fucking hilarious to me. In the end, if you like Devil May Cry, you'll more than likely enjoy this game. Give it a shot. Number 19. Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Wii, Xbox 360, and PC. When it comes to the movie franchise, Revenge of the Fallen might just be the weakest film in the Transformers trilogy. When it comes to the games, Revenge of the Fallen ended up being the best by a fucking pretty clear margin. Michael Bay and the Transformers franchise literally exploded onto theater screens in 2007 with a video game to accompany the release of the first film. That game was mildly enjoyable, but it had some pretty glaring flaws that most people couldn't look past, including myself when I played it. When the second movie launched in 2009, once again, there was a game to accompany the film, and that game was Revenge of the Fallen. It took the gameplay formula from the first game, bolstered up the graphics a little bit, smoothed out some of the kinks, and created a nice little mission-based third-person action shooter that stayed faithful to the Transformers franchise. As a massive fan of Transformers in general, I would have preferred if they would have used the original G1 versions of the Autobots and Decepticons instead of the movie versions, but obviously that isn't going to happen when it's a direct tie-in for the movie that's coming out. You could get certain throwback skins as DLC back in the day, but at this point those are inaccessible as far as I can tell. But regardless of how much I dislike the designs they used in the movies, that's a critique for the movies, not the game. Speaking of the game though, let's talk about what they got right. First thing you do is you get to pick whether you want to play as the Autobots or the Decepticons, which is always a nice thing, and then you jump into missions and somewhat follow the events of the movie. The mission objectives range from rescue missions and escorts to targeting and destroying enemy strongholds to race-style time trials, among a few other variances. There's a good variety of locations and gameplay styles just to keep any one kind of mission from getting stale. Honestly, the only main complaint I had was it takes a while for you to get to play as any of the Transformers you want to play as. I don't give a shit about playing as Ironhide, dude. Let me play as Optimus Prime. But eventually you do get to use the likes of Optimus Prime, Megatron, and the undisputed GOAT, Starscream. One thing I will say, cutscenes not being skippable, a little irritating. Especially when it's always just something like,
"We've successfully weakened the Autobots' defense. Now we shall start making preparations for our attack. The Energon will be ours, blah, blah, blah."
I don't need to hear this. You're explaining to me what I just did on the level that I just played. That is dumb. But it's, that's kind of a minor thing. It's like a minute or two in between each level. It's not that bad. The driving and flight mechanics work very well, and being able to transform at will and use that as a way to create like extra mobility or attack opportunities feels very smooth and well designed. It plays well, it looks good, it doesn't get repetitive, and when this first came out, my buddies and I played the hell out of the multiplayer. This game clearly helped inspire and lay the groundwork for the Transformer games that came after it. I mean, not Dark of the Moon, that game fucking sucks, but War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, Devastation, like those are all great games in their own right, and they obviously took some cues from Revenge of the Fallen. This game was probably the first truly enjoyable Transformers experience to be on a home console, and it's a very fun little journey through the world of gigantic sentient robots who turn into cars. It was definitely worth my time, and I think it's probably worth yours. Number 18. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Say what you will about the prequels, but in my not-so-humble opinion, Episode 3 is actually a pretty damn good movie, and the game they made based off of it is also pretty damn good. Revenge of the Sith sees you playing as Obi-Wan and Anakin as you work your way through the story of the movie, hacking, slashing, and force-pushing your way through battle droids and clone troopers. It's not the most complete combat system, but at the time of its release, it was the first one that ever really nailed it. As you play through the missions, you gain experience points that you can use to upgrade your character stats and moveset, along with unlocking some bonus levels where you get to play as characters like Yoda, General Grievous, and a few others. The main story of the game itself is actually longer than you would expect it to be, and the multiplayer modes they had were simple but still fun. You have the duel mode, which is self-explanatory, and there's a few co-op missions that you and your friends could play, just sitting on a couch together, like the good old days where couch co-op was still a thing. Now it's dead and gone forever. All in all, this game gave fans a chance to step into the world of Star Wars and actually made it enjoyable, something that far too few Star Wars games have actually gotten to do. The voice acting is good, if not a little bland. The gameplay is fun, but it doesn't overstay its welcome either. It's one of the better Star Wars games that I've ever played, and as the massive fucking dork that I am, that's pretty high praise. You could literally slap a Lucasfilm logo on a moose turd, and I'd probably enjoy playing with it, so there's also that. Whatever, this game is good, just play it, fuck. Number 17. Cars. PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox 360, and PC. I'm pissed. I'm pissed this game is on the list. I'm genuinely annoyed that I enjoy this game as much as I do. And the reason behind that is simple. I hate the Cars franchise. That shit's fucking stupid. The movies were clearly just made so that Disney could make their own Matchbox cars and move merchandise because little kids love race cars. Those movies have about as much soul as the ginger kids from South Park do. Fucking none. And don't even try it. I know what you're thinking. Like, oh, but static. Toy Story is basically the same thing and you like those movies. What gives? Well, I'll tell you what gives. Toy Story is awesome and Cars fucking blows. That's what fucking gives. With that said, I saw a lot of people online mentioning this game was a good tie-in, so in the spirit of fairness, I procured not one, not two, but 3 games based on this godforsaken series, and I played all of them. The original is by a mile the best, and the other 2 are basically just pretty generic kart racers. This game, however, is an open-world adventure that reminds me of games more like Need for Speed or Midnight Club, and that's a good thing. It's not just racing. There's also a handful of mini-games that all make for varied and enjoyable breaks from the racing, which is also well done, if maybe a bit easy. I was winning most of the races I was running by 20 plus seconds on my first attempts, but it's also a game that's designed for people that, are maybe slightly younger than somebody that's, 30 fucking 5. So, yeah, I can't, really complain about the lack of difficulty. The game looks pretty good, it plays really well, and has enough gameplay variety to keep itself from getting repetitive or boring. You could spend quite a lot of time just driving around the locales that the game takes place in and finding the collectibles and secret areas. There's a ton that you can do in this game. It's a far more expansive game than I ever would have expected, and I clearly had quite a bit of effort put into it. If only they could have put that much effort into the movies. The only complaint that I honestly have about this game is that it set the standard for the rest of the games in the series, and they didn't live up to it. Well, that and the fact that it's based on a stupid fucking movie from a stupid fucking franchise. But, that's beside the point. So we'll basically do this. Cars, the video game. Cars, the movie franchise. fucking boo. Ka-chow. Fucking ugh. Number 16. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Nintendo 64. Star Wars Episode 1. Maybe the most divisive movie in the entire franchise. On one side of things, you have people that love it and consider it to be one of the best Star Wars movies, and then on the other side, you have people that are wrong. But I'm not here to talk about politics, I'm here to rank games, and this game fucking rocks. This is where the list starts to pick up, boys. Even if you're a idiot and you hate Episode 1 as a movie, the only way you're gonna hate this game is if you're doing it just strictly out of spite. This game is really fun, man. The racing itself is awesome. It gives you a sense of speed that's great. The upgrade system, the parts trading, the characters, the difficulty increase over the course of the game, everything is done to fucking near perfection. It looks great for a 64 game and it controls extremely well. The controls are really tight in this game, which is something you need because at some of the later stages, you have to be super precise with your controlling. I really enjoyed this game as a kid and I really enjoy it now. It's just a really well-made game. Certain races might be a cakewalk, and then others are just incredibly hard to get through if you don't have a fully upgraded pod, which is going to take you quite some time to be able to earn. This game is way more deep than it needed to be when it came out, because people were going to buy this one no matter what. Kids wanted to play pod racing. They could have sold us anything. But the fact of the matter is they went above and beyond just putting out a super thrown together little game just to make some money. They put a lot of thought and effort into making this game, and it shows. I mean, over 25 years later, this is still incredibly fun and it holds up. It's a very engaging experience. This is a must play. Even the most casual racing game fans will have fun with this one. I cannot speak highly enough about this game. I mean, and also they just put out a HD remaster a few years ago. It's on the Switch and the PS4 and the Xbox One. So you can literally go grab this right now and play it on current hardware. There's no excuse to not play it. It's fun, it's challenging, it's rewarding, it's just a great game. It's just a really great game. Number 15. 007, The World Is Not Enough. Nintendo 64. This entry is specifically about the 64 version of this game and not the PlayStation one because just don't play that one. Just don't fucking play that one. That said, this game rules. Leaving GoldenEye off of this list was something that people have probably already written angry comments to me about. But to be perfectly truthful, even if it qualified, it probably wouldn't have made it, and it wouldn't be this high on the list if it did. Time has been rather unfriendly to GoldenEye. It hasn't aged very well. The World Is Not Enough, on the other hand, has aged pretty well. Not only has it aged better, it's just objectively a better game. The controls are smoother, the graphics are better, the sound design is miles better than any previous Bond game ever had. The mission variety is really enjoyable, gadgets and guns are a lot more fleshed out, the level design is awesome. There's so many things that this game did right. The World Is Not Enough took everything that GoldenEye did, it smoothed out some of the more janky parts about it, it slapped way better graphics on it, and it just made a better game. It's just better. Now, I'm aware that GoldenEye is held in such high regard for what it did to revolutionize console FPS games. And yes, I do think that it's a good game, but The World Is Not Enough is literally better in every possible way. If you enjoy GoldenEye and you've never played this game, you're doing yourself a disservice because not only is this the best Bond game to come out for the 5th gen consoles, it's one of the best Bond games ever. An argument could be made that it is the best. I prefer Agent Under Fire and Nightfire, but that's probably because I spent, a couple hundred hours on both of those games. Without the nostalgia glasses on, this game is miles better than anything else that has probably come out in this series. Either way, it doesn't really matter. If you've never played this game and you like James Bond, just play this one. Give it a run through. It's really fun. It's a metric fuck ton of replayability with different difficulty settings and the multiplayer. I can't recommend this one enough. Thankfully, it came out barely less than a year after the film, because if it hadn't, there wouldn't be any Bond games on this list, and that would be, honestly, a bummer. That said, once again, don't play the PlayStation version. That shit doesn't even have multiplayer. It's fucking worthless. Number 14, The Punisher. PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC. 20 years down the road, we now know that the best version of The Punisher is Jon Bernthal. I mean, that's not up for debate, but until he put on the shirt with the skull on the front, Thomas Jane was the best version of the world's coolest anti-hero we had ever had. Now, I know this movie wasn't everybody's favorite, but personally, I like the 2004 Punisher movie. And this game is, well, we'll say, loosely based on the plot of the movie, along with a few comic series as well. Cool thing is Thomas Jane came in to voice Frank Castle even though they didn't use his likeness in the game, which is kind of interesting. That said, the game does look good though. The shooting mechanics are easy to get the hang of, and while the level design is overly dreary, it's the fucking Punisher, so that, just kind of makes sense, I guess. The thing that this game is best known for is definitely the interrogation mini-games that you partake in, with a few dozen different ways that you can interrogate somebody and then maim them afterwards if you choose to do so. Although if you do that, it will cost you some mission points, and there are things you definitely want to maximize with those. The upgrade system is cool, the armory system, everything about creating a loadout for the next mission or being able to unlock alternative game modes. It adds a lot of replayability. I just think this game really does have legs. The Punisher doesn't do anything that makes it incredibly unique or special, but it's still really fun. So at the end of the day, does any of that really fucking matter? I'm also just a very simple man, and any game that allows me to dual wield shotguns is gonna more than likely get a massive thumbs up from me. That's just how that works. With tons of things to do, tons of things to unlock and collect, this is a game that you can easily dump quite a bit of time into. For whatever reason, this game didn't get a ton of praise from critics, but I think this shit is awesome. It's got a very Max Payne-ish vibe to me, and anytime I can say that, it's usually a good thing. This is a well above average, ultra-violent, over-the-top third-person shooter, and I think it deserves way more love than it gets. And now for the greatest segue in the history of video game list videos. We're moving from a game where you can literally throw somebody into a wood chipper onto number 13. Toy Story 2. Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. Nintendo 64 and PlayStation. I figured this would be just another nostalgia pick for me, but when I went back and played this one, I was happy to find out it actually holds up really well. It's an open level 3D platformer, which is one of my favorite genres of video game ever. So, obviously that's going to bump it up a little bit, but outside the personal bias, this game is actually just really well made. I played the PlayStation version, which is, in my opinion, the better version, but the 64 one is still very passable. Graphics hold up pretty well, the platforming and movement are smooth, the targeting of your laser is easy to use, the objectives throughout all the levels are varied and interesting, and the levels themselves are incredibly well designed and unique. There's a few minor issues you could probably complain about. It isn't very difficult, and sometimes the camera can be more of a hindrance than a help. But overall, this game is still very, very fun. I loved this as a kid, and playing back through reminded me of why. I'm glad it wasn't just me looking back through rose-colored glasses, and it's actually just good. And to be perfectly honest, this isn't just a good movie tie-in, this is actually one of the better 3D platformers made for the PlayStation. Also, you get to play as Buzz Lightyear, man, that's the shit, bro, come on. Number 12. X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged Edition. PlayStation 3, PC, and Xbox 360. First things first, don't bother playing the PS2 or Wii versions of this game, they're whack as fuck. The PS3, PC, and Xbox 360 uncaged versions are the only ones worth your time. Secondly, we all know about the movie this game is based on at this point, and no, I'm not going to get into it because talking about how that movie sucked is just beating a dead horse while you wear a hat on top of a hat. So, I'm not going to... Psych! Fuck that dog shit movie, dude. This shit so disappointing, it literally killed off an entire planned series of origin movies, and it was the first one to come out. I'm actually not going to talk about what they did to Deadpool because it will actually piss me off, but I will say that there are times when this movie comes on TV, or maybe I see it in like a Netflix queue, and I instantly wish that a cartoonishly large anvil would just drop on the heads of anyone who was involved in the writing or production of this movie. But yeah, it's one of the worst superhero movies of the last 20 years, and thank Christ they got it all back on track by, just basically completely ignoring the fact that this even fucking exists. That's the movie, though. We're here to talk about the game. This game is dope. It looks great, it's fast-paced, it's violent, it's chaotic as hell at times, and it's exactly what you want out of a game where you play as Wolverine. This game finally did something that other games had tried to do, and that's make Wolverine fun to play as. Some games have been marginally successful, most have not. But this is one of, if not the best video game rendition of Wolverine ever. Even if he is way too fucking tall. Like, I know. I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine just as much as anybody else. And anyone else playing him would be very weird, okay? Yes, I get that. But god damn it, dude. The guy's like fucking 6'2". It's like a foot taller than Wolverine is supposed to be. This is a very minor annoyance of mine. Anyway, I love the control scheme of this game. It just feels good, you know? Levels look fucking awesome. Most of the character models look good, except for, certain ones. The boss fights aren't the best, but the rest of the combat makes up for that. I'm just so excited that in this game, I get to do what I have always wanted to do with Wolverine, which is run around and slice and dice people. I can't tell you how sick I am of playing a video game where it's either only robots, or if you're fighting humans, they just have like little blue explosions on them and they just fall over when you beat them. Like, really? I just hit this dude with the 4-piece meal deal combo and he's just like laying down. He ain't dead. He ain't bloody. He's just sleepy, even though he just got hit with, these fucking razor fucking sharp fucking bone claws. Mom, we don't want the video game to be mature. Fuck. This game fixes all of that. This game is very violent, exactly as it should be. It's awesome, dude. And yes, you do have to fight that version of Deadpool towards the end of the game, but it's actually a pretty quick fight, so you can just kind of pretend that it didn't happen. All in all, this game is fun as hell. And until the new Wolverine game that they've been working on for 27 and a half years finally comes out, this is one of the best renditions of a much beloved character. I have a great time with this game. They finally did Wolverine right in a video game. You should 100% play this game. Number 11, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the graphic adventure, PC. There were about 80 different games based on The Last Crusade across a multitude of systems, and you know what? Most of them are perfectly acceptable. The action game version is a decent to slightly above average adventure platformer, depending on which system you chose to play it on. But this entry isn't focused on that. This entry is specifically for the graphic adventure, which is a point-and-click adventure developed by Lucasfilm Games, which would later go on to be rebranded as LucasArts for 20 years, and then, for some reason, then go and get rebranded back to Lucasfilm Games? Alright. Anyway, I played this game ages ago, and I remember it taking me forever to beat. And then, as I'm playing back through it, I was reminded of why it took me so long. This game is hard. There is zero hand-holding here. You will wander around aimlessly, you will get frustrated, and you will more than likely resort to reading a guide online after a couple hours of being hopelessly confused as to what you're supposed to be doing. But that's the beauty of it. This is an amazingly deep and rewarding experience with great-looking pixel art and engaging puzzles and gameplay. The game mechanics might seem overwhelming in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it and you get used to it, you'll find out that it's just incredibly well made and a very interesting system to use. I can't stress this enough. If you play this game, do everything you can to avoid using a walkthrough or a guide to figure out the puzzles. If you are the type of gamer that relies on guides anytime you get stuck, this is not the game for you. Believe me when I say the feeling of victory and the sense of accomplishment you get when you finally figure out what the fuck you're supposed to be doing and you make it past one of maybe even just a medium difficulty puzzle, it is a feeling that I can only compare to beating a Fadian game or like an incredibly difficult Souls-like boss. It's euphoric. The humor from the movies is there, sound design is well done, the indie point system that they have adds replay value, and overall this is just an incredibly well-made game. And this isn't for everyone though. This game was made for a very specific type of person that enjoys a very specific type of niche game. But it just so happens that I'm one of those people, and that's why it's here. This is one of the best point-and-click adventures I've ever played, and if you enjoy that genre, you need to play this game. I cannot tell you how good this is, you have to play it for yourself. Also, there's a remaster with some slightly better graphics on Steam. It's like $6. And they have the sequel, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, which is one of the hardest and most beloved point-and-click games of all time. It is not for everyone, but god damn, this game is fucking good, dude. Oh, I love this game so much. Number 10. Sweet Home, Famicom. Yeah, we're really getting into the good shit now, boys. If you've never heard of Sweet Home, all you need to know is that it's a Japanese horror flick from 1989 about a group of filmmakers who go into a giant haunted mansion looking for some frescoes or paintings left there by its owner. The movie itself is fairly standard late 80s scare fare, but it's enjoyable enough. The game based on Sweet Home released for the Famicom in Japan and never actually got an official release outside of the country. But fan-translated ROMs have been circulating online since the early 2000s, and it's attained a kind of cult classic status with a small but very dedicated community of fans. While Sweet Home is technically an RPG, it's more or less recognized as the game that inspired basically the entire survival horror genre, serving alongside the original Alone in the Dark trilogy as the main influences behind Resident Evil, which took a niche game type and turned it into one of the most popular genres in the world. The gameplay of Sweet Home is interesting, and it definitely takes a minute to get used to unless you have a manual or a guide, but like Indiana Jones, once you get used to the system and you start to learn the ins and outs, it's a rich and surprisingly deep game, one that consoles at home had rarely seen until this point. You control the 5 main characters from the film, and you can switch in between them as you please using their unique items to explore the dimly lit and decaying mansion that you're stuck inside of. The pixel art in this game is awesome. The enemies you come across vary from zombies to bats to massive armies of worms and all kinds of different things. The combat is simple, but it also works really well. The team-up system is something that you need to strategize with and have the right characters working together, and then you have an inventory management system that's also interesting. One cool feature that this game had was permadeaths for the characters in your party. If one of your party members dies during your playthrough, they're fucking DED dead, and which of the 5 endings you get is decided by how many of your party members you can make it to the end of the game with. Exploring the mansion isn't an overly terrifying experience because of the art style, but there are still some creepy moments and times where you will be stressed out about things like low light or low health or just a general lack of direction. This is an amazing game. It's far better than the movie that it's based on, and it's a game that you can play through a dozen times and still find something new. You can easily find the translated ROMs online, and if you have an NES and you know where to look, you could find people who have taken the translated games and loaded them onto physical cartridges so you can play them on your actual hardware. Although, that is a little bit of a legal gray area. I don't know, I can't say it enough. I love this game. I love what it inspired, and while the movie isn't anything to write home about, the game is an incredibly important part of video game history, and on top of that, it's also insanely fun, and it well deserves its spot in the top 10. If you've never played this game or even heard about it before, you have to try it. This game is so fucking good. You won't be disappointed. I mean, unless you are, but then, you're just fucking dumb, and that's your fault. That shit ain't on me. Number 9. Barnyard. GameCube, Wii, PlayStation 2, and PC. By the time that Barnyard came out in 2006, I was a bit past the age of someone who would have been the target demographic for this game. Man, we were rocking SOCOM 3 tournaments on game battles and shit. We didn't have time for these little kid baby games. We're talking about Organization 13, the Keyblade Masters, also known as STK, Skills That Kills. You don't know, you better ask somebody or you better go hide, because I'm coming down the left lane with the 5.52 and I'm booming on you. So, anyway, I don't even think I had watched Barnyard until years after it was released. It just, wasn't something that interested me. The game that came out alongside the movie was a game that I kept seeing mentioned on these threads I would find about good movie games. And oddly enough, they aren't wrong. This game is tight. I'm actually kind of bummed I never played this back in the day because this was a blast. It's an odd blend of open world, mission-based gameplay, platforming, and collectathon aspects, shooter mechanics, racing, mini games, cooking, all smashed into this weird and somehow really, really fun package. I couldn't really figure out what this game was trying to do or what it was trying to be, but I don't know. It's fun as fuck, so I guess, that doesn't really matter, does it? There's so much to do, and there's so many different gameplay variances that it never gets stale. It never feels like a slog, which is something that even games like Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row have a problem with at times. They can kind of be a grind. This game is somehow a shining example of variety and pacing, and you can easily dump time into it. I glanced over at the clock on my computer at one point, and I'd realized I'd been playing this shit for 4 hours at one point, and it didn't feel like it. Dude, that's the mark of a good game. And make no mistake, this is a very, very good game. Number 8, Aladdin, Super Nintendo. Yeah, I know. The Mega Drive game is the best version of the game. No, it's not. Listen, I always have and I always will prefer the Super Nintendo version of this game. It's the one that I had as a kid, and after playing 3 different versions of Aladdin, I still think that it's the better choice. I like the graphics better, although the Sega versions also look great. One area that the Super Nintendo is completely superior in is the sound design and soundtrack. While the Mega Drive and Genesis games had a combat system that some people liked more because you had your sword, I think the overall presentation and performance of this game is head and shoulders above the others. It's more challenging, the platforming is light years better, and the boss fights are more enjoyable. I don't just have to sit there and spam apple throws on the final boss to win. I don't know, just call me crazy, I guess. Don't get me wrong, I do think that the other games are still good. I just think that this is a better and more complete experience. Also, swinging around on the first level and kicking dudes in the face is like a core childhood memory for me. So, there's that. Whichever version you prefer doesn't really matter. They're all good. Any of them could be in this spot. This is just the one that I chose because it's the one that I prefer. But honestly, if you really think that this game isn't that good and it's totally inferior to the Sega versions, you're probably just one of those people that can't get past the lava chase. Ooh, seems like a skill issue to me. No, I'm just playing. I love this game. I actually think I'm going to go play that once I'm done recording this. Number 7. The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC. Oh, fuck yeah, man, let's go! To be perfectly honest, I considered putting the Two Towers on this list as well, but I knew this game was going to be on here, and I knew that it was going to be ranked very highly before I even started playing through all of the games. This game is fucking sick. Don't get me wrong, Two Towers was a great game in its own right, but there were certain things about it that, This game is absolutely brilliant because it does everything better. More characters, better graphics, more epic battles, better character progression, better story progression, better level design, better everything. God, this game is so good. Just being able to play as Gandalf makes this game a billion times better than its predecessor. Return of the King picks up right where the first game left off, at Helm's Deep. Immediately after that, you get to choose between 3 different paths, each with its own playable characters and storyline. One notable thing about the EA Lord of the Rings games is they are only based on the movies, since Vivendi had the rights to make games based on the books. One of which they released head-to-head with the Two Towers, and let's just say it wasn't quite as good as Two Towers, and they got absolutely shit on in sales, and as a person who owned both of them, there's a good reason why. EA kind of gets a bad rap these days for, being a greedy and maybe at times even predatory company, but sometimes they absolutely nail it, and this game absolutely fucking nails it. This isn't just an incredible Lord of the Rings game or movie tie-in game. This is a top-of-the-line hack-and-slash game, and it stands shoulder to shoulder with some of the best games of its time. I would put this up there next to games like Shadow of Colossus, games like God of War. This is an all-timer game. The first game got pretty repetitive at times. This game fixed that. And with an insanely great level design and pacing, they created a damn near perfect game. You don't even have to give a shit about the Lord of the Rings to have a great time with this game. It's that good. God, I fucking love this game. Number 6. Peter Jackson's King Kong. GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, Xbox 360, and PC. That's 2 Peter Jackson games in a row in the top 10. That's kind of not surprising, actually. I don't know. Whatever companies he goes through, they just don't miss. They don't fucking miss, and this game is no exception. Looking back at this game is crazy. Kong was insanely ahead of its time, and really set a new bar for what movie tie-in games should aspire to be. Everything about this game works so well. It looks great, the atmosphere replicates the feeling of the movie perfectly, the gun and combat mechanics are as good as they can get, the voice acting from the cast of the film is amazing, and it all combines into a super immersive experience. The lack of a HUD might throw off some gamers, but it's really a highlight because it makes you feel like you're a part of the world that the game is putting in front of you. There are so many mechanics in this game that nobody else was even attempting in 2005 when this game came out. It's actually mind-blowing. It's actually kind of hard to put into words because there aren't many games like this. This is a game you have to play for yourself to understand why people like it so much. You have to experience it for yourself. This game is a one of a kind, and it does deserve every single bit of praise that it's received over the years. If you have an opportunity, grab a copy and play this damn game. You will not be disappointed. It is absolutely fucking incredible. Alrighty, top 5. Here's where people start getting real mad when they realize that I left their favorites off. Ugh. No, I'm just playing. Let's do this shit. Number 5, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, and PC. Yes, I am aware that there is a PlayStation version of this game, but it fucking sucks and we're not going to talk about it. This was the second Harry Potter game to come out alongside its corresponding movie, and the first to come out on the 6th-gen consoles. No two ways about it, guys. This game absolutely slaps. Man, this game is fun. From collecting chocolate frogs to attending class, from flying all over Hogwarts on your Nimbus 2000 to learning new spells to help you explore more of what the game has to offer. There's just so much to do at times, it's almost overwhelming. All the different game mechanics and playstyles work together seamlessly, and it really helps feed into making this game feel really faithful to the spirit of the Harry Potter franchise. Unlike some of the later adaptations, this game didn't try to replicate the look of the movies, and went for instead a more stylized art style, which works extremely well and gives the game an ability to look good across several different consoles, all of which were still, at this point, pretty early on in their life cycles. It controls well and it never gets in its own way, all while letting you play through the story of Harry's second year at Hogwarts. The game is still fun, it holds up extremely well, and it laid the groundwork for the rest of the Harry Potter games that came after it. Groundwork that was, sadly ignored. This game is by a mile the best Harry Potter game based on one of the movies, which sucks because it's number 2 out of 8. The first game was passable. The second game was amazing. And then after that, the games just kept getting progressively worse until the 2 Deathly Hallows games came out, which made me want to go headbutt puppies and nuns. It's frustrating because they had a good thing going and just decided to go away from it for whatever stupid reasons EA wants to give. Maybe it's because they switched the development companies. Maybe they were rushing them out. I'm not sure, but either way, it's still disappointing. Thankfully, about 20 years later, we finally got another great Harry Potter game when Hogwarts Legacy came out, but I maintain the Chamber of Secrets is still absolutely the cream of the crop when it comes to Harry Potter video games. Even if you marginally enjoy Harry Potter, play this game. Simple as that. Just play this game. It's awesome. Number 4, Spider-Man 2. PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, and PC. Of all the superheroes out there, I don't think there's a single one that has the pedigree that Spider-Man does when it comes to quality video games. From the NES and the Super Nintendo all the way up to the PS5, Spider-Man has consistently had some of the best video games in the entire superhero world. Batman might have the Arkham games, but he also has Dark Tomorrow. Iron Man and the Avengers barely had any luck with their games, and any game that stars that poor bastard Superman pretty much always sucks. When Sam Raimi started making his Spider-Man trilogy, there was no way that they were going to miss the opportunity to make some of those big bucks by putting out a game to go along with it. The first Spider-Man movie had a game to accompany it, and it was a very capable, if not fairly limited adventure. Spider-Man 2 used that first game as a base, and used it to build not only the best Spider-Man game based on a movie, but just one of the best Spider-Man games of all time in general. This game rocks. It's expansive, it's paced well, it looks great for the time, it's just overall really, really great. It holds up extremely well. It holds up better than Spider-Man 3, which in its own right is a fairly good game, but in the end, the best movie of the trilogy spawned the best game. There's so much to do in this game. There's bosses to fight, criminals to catch, time trials to complete, pizzas to deliver, just everything. Arcade games to play. You could spend hours just swinging around New York exploring the massive city that they built for you. Now, the combat is pretty simple, but it does its job super effectively. The real stars here are the web swinging and the movement mechanics. They're fucking awesome. This game gave you a feeling of freedom that every other Spider-Man game before had tried to nail, and everyone since has been inspired by. It's the blueprint of how you should build a superhero game, and it's one of the best to ever do it. There's so much about this game that's awesome. Like, they could have phoned it in too, because this license was going to make money no matter what, but they ended up creating an all-timer game series, and I respect the shit out of that. I love Spider-Man. I love this game. Yeah, shit rocks. Number 3, Toy Story 3, Xbox 360 and PS3. Look, I know, all right? I know. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. This game is unironically dope as fuck. Dude, this shit is so fun. I had never played this game before. Honestly, I hadn't even heard anything about it until I started doing research for this video. I mean, it's been a long time since I paid any attention to any Disney-related game that didn't have a Keyblade in it, alright? That said, I started playing this game and I could not fucking believe how much fun it is. It shouldn't be surprising because Toy Story games are more often than not pretty damn good, but man, I can't fucking believe how absolutely incredible this game is. The graphics, the gameplay, the voiceovers, the level design, the pacing, all just incredible. The main story of this game has you playing through levels as Woody, Buzz, and Jesse, and each level is completely different from the last one. In the opening moments of the game, you're Woody and you're riding Bullseye, and then you're on a train and you're saving orphans, and then in one of the next levels, you're flying through space and sneaking into Zurg's lair. It's just all insanely well done. And on top of all of that, that's just the main story levels of the game. That doesn't even include the toy box mode, which is just chef's kiss. The devs over at Avalanche Software are fucking madmen. Dude, they made a rock-solid game to go along with the story of the third movie, and then just decided to say, fuck it, and then they go and make Toy Box Mode, which is basically Red Dead Toy Story Edition, and it's awesome. There's tons of missions, areas to explore, buildings to build and customize, characters, costumes, miscellaneous goodies to unlock. There's mini games galore, there's collectibles out the ass, like, it's insane. This mode could be its own game, and they just threw it in as a little side section on a game that was already dope. What? There's like stunt driving and races, time trials, there's flight mechanics, there's like 100 different pictures they want you to find of people and take. Like, there's so much to do. You could spend hours and hours and hours just in this mode, and it's not even the main game. I cannot stress this enough. This is, again, unironically, one of the best games I have played in recent memory. This game is fucking rad. And I don't give a shit if people want to make fun of me for putting this game as high on this list as I have. I genuinely believe that it does deserve to be here. I can't say enough good things about this game. If you haven't played it, play either the 360 or PS3 versions. The other versions exclude certain game modes or features. Get the toy box editions. But yeah, this game rocks. I had so much goddamn fun playing this game. Like, yeah, actually, fuck playing Aladdin, dude. When I'm done with this voiceover, I'm playing this. Like, I still got hella shit I need to unlock. Number 2, Mad Max. Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Okay, so technically, this game is not based on Mad Max Fury Road, but they do exist in the same universe, came out the same year, and there's an edition of the game that comes with a copy of the movie in it. So that's good enough for me, all right? Man, this game is sick. Imagine living in a wasteland, just a massive wasteland, piecing together all the badass, super customizable cars, and you're going around, you're doing battles with all kinds of bad guys. Now imagine being able to do that without getting sand all up in your junk. That's this game. It looks amazing. The storyline is great. The driving and car upgrade systems are fucking incredibly deep. And the combat is super fluid and well done. There's stealth mechanics, car combat, puzzle solving, exploration, and I don't know, about 50 other facets of this game that all combine into this insanely complete game. When Mad Max first came out in 2015, apparently its sales underperformed and it was viewed as a disappointment. Critics gave it some pretty average reviews and everyone kind of forgot about it for a couple years. And then somewhere along the way, people started coming around and realizing that this game actually fucking rocks. And in recent years, people have been looking back at it more and more and realizing that this is a very, very fun game. Time has been kind to Mad Max, and it's well deserved because everything this game does, it does indeed do well. There are so many working parts in this game and they all work together perfectly. It's just a ridiculously solid and enjoyable game. It's also massive. There's so much to do in this game that it can easily take up a ton of your time. It's a bummer that it didn't initially get the love that it deserved, but thankfully people have come around. Also, if you have a PC, this game is almost perpetually on sale on Steam. Just wishlist it, and the next 2-3 months, I can almost guarantee that it'll be on sale for $5. And that's an insanely good deal for a game of this magnitude that is this good. You don't have to be a fan of Mad Max to enjoy this game, at all. You don't have to know anything about Mad Max to enjoy this game. This is just a game that you can have a good time with. All y'all need to play this shit. All y'all. This game was insanely close to taking the number 1 spot, but in the end, I decided that it had to settle for number 2 because, well, you're about to see. Number 1, Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, Xbox and PC. When I started putting this list together, this was the first game I wrote down. And when I started doing the rankings, I put it at number 1 and it never moved away from that spot. After playing back through it, it's not even a question. This is the single greatest movie tie-in game ever. Everything in this game does exactly what it needs to do. This is exactly what a tie-in game should be. It should take the IP, it should respect the source material, and it should build a game that's in the spirit of the license. And this game did all of that perfectly. The story is engaging, the look and vibe exactly matches the movies, and the attention to detail is amazing. The graphics are insane for the time that it came out. I mean, it looks better than certain games that came out 10 years after it, and that's not an exaggeration. It still looks pretty damn good 20 years after its release. That's an incredible accomplishment. The stealth gameplay is fun, the melee combat is solid, but it does require strategy. You can't just go in and button mash, you have to kind of play it smart. The gunfighting is better than a lot of FPS titles that were coming out at the time. It's just, everything is solid. From voiceovers and character likenesses to the eye shine mechanics that you get an hour into the game, everything is just well done. The environments in the game fit the series perfectly, and Vin Diesel puts in one of the best voice performances in video game history. This game is the gold standard of tie-in video games. It didn't set the bar, it is the bar. It set a standard of quality that people had never seen in a game that was made to promote a movie. And on top of all that, it's just one of the most fun games you'll ever play. Let me be very clear when I say this. This is not just the best movie tie-in game. This is one of the best games ever made, period. Full stop. And I'm not being dramatic when I say that. I honestly believe that this game is among the best ever made. It's faithful to the source material, all while giving you a new and fresh gameplay experience that nobody had ever seen before. And 20 years later, there still aren't that many games that do things that this game did 3 console generations ago. That's genuinely incredible. It's original, it's engaging, and it's overall just fucking awesome. Nowadays, thanks to licensing disputes though, it's hard to find a downloadable version of this game. It's also hard to find a playable version of the HD remake that came out along with its sequel, Assault on Dark Athena, which in its own right is another really awesome game. I highly suggest that one as well. They're basically abandonware at this point unless you plan on buying a physical copy, so if you do want to play them, you'll have to use some workarounds. But this game is well worth the effort. It is a remarkable achievement, and if you can find a way to play it, I can't recommend it enough. This game rules, the Riddick movies rule, everything about this shit is dope, and you gotta try it out for yourself. You really need to play this one. And with that, we have reached the end of my list. Not gonna lie, I'm happy with it, and I stand by the rankings that I gave out. Could there be other games on here? Yeah, probably, but there aren't. Too fucking bad. Anyway, I'm currently in the process of working on another worst of video, so hopefully that'll be done in the next, couple weeks or so. If you'd like to, you can check out one of my other videos right there. If not, that's cool too. Just enjoy the rest of your day. Anyway, that's about it for me, guys. Thanks for stopping by. And remember, take care of yourselves. I'll catch you on the flip side.